This is EB3, speaking the truth in love, and I just come on for a few minutes to give you guys a word of encouragement. So I want to talk about our walk that we walk as Christian black women to be specific, in a hostile environment. Um, so a while back, some years ago, when I first became in management, there was quite a bit of backlash. And it wasn't from the people that I thought it would be from. Specifically, truthfully, it wasn't from a lot of white men, but it was from a lot of women. And they were the ones that were saying different things like, they don't know how I got there, blah, 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 blah. But unbeknownst to them, I had, number one, I had been in the yard, had been on my job for, by the time I became in management, I'd been on my job for like 15 years. And I also went back and got a bachelor's degree. But I'm one of those type of people that a lot of times I'm doing things to try to better myself that a lot of people don't know about, because I don't necessarily believe in telling everybody what I'm doing. And so, because I am not that person that, I feel like you need to do what you need to do, right? And I feel like if the Lord puts something on your mind to go do something, then you do it. And everybody don't have to know. Everybody don't have to know everything that you do. But everything that you do has to be done decently and in order. And that's what I want to talk about. Listen, as we navigate through these rough times that are coming up on us, there will be some of us who will be more targeted than others. I always tell people, don't laugh at anybody else, the other group. Like right now, the biggest focus is on the immigrants. But when you dealing with DEI, a lot of times we are targeted, black women, because number one, you're a woman, and number two, you're black. So I want us to be mindful of how we carry ourselves. When people are, for lack of a better word, harassing us for no good reason, when people are what they already do, but it's been more passive aggressive I'll say for the last 16 years, it's been a little bit more passive aggressive. I remember when it was just aggressive, and I see that it's probably going to go back that way for at least for a little while. But at the end of the day, we still have to be Christians. I'm not saying that you got to be a doormat for anybody. I want to get that out there. I'm not saying that you have to be a doormat for anybody. A lot of times, people are intimidated by your success, by your intelligence, and so therefore, because they are that way, that would make them be even more amped to try to figure out a way to move you out of the way. But I want to encourage you, don't give them any ammunition. And if it happened, take it with grace and do what you got to do in the meantime. And whatever it is that you got to do, sometimes it means you got to get a lawyer. I mean, we might be like starting from scratch, get a lawyer because you were unlawfully let go, if you believe that, because it's going to be a lot of that, guys. Ladies, it's going to be a lot of that. Gentlemen, it's going to be a lot of that. And some people won't get caught up in it. It just depends on what state you live in, what company you work for, whatever. I'm not saying one particular company is going to be worse than the other. We don't know because we're not there yet, right? But we must prepare ourselves to be able to, if you want to stay where you are, to be able to withstand some things for a period of time. Um, I always say this too shall pass. But I also wanted to help us understand that we have to endure something. I'm not saying necessarily that you got to endure that harassment on your job, but at some point in your life, you're gonna have to endure something because you gotta. The Bible says you gotta endure like a good soldier, right? So there's gonna be some things that you're gonna have to endure in order to be successful, in order to get to the next level. Sometimes going through harassment, sometimes going through rejection, going through different things that are hard, difficult to maintain, is preparing you for the greater later on. Like the next thing is greater than what you lost, but you can't see it until you get there. So what I'm in trying to encourage you all to do is no matter how ugly it gets, you keep your dignity, you keep your self-respect, and you keep the faith. Tend for the faith, because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, every one of us have to stand before God. And we don't have to stand before God and answer for the things that other people have done to us, but we do have to answer for how we handled it, what our reactions were. Did we really truly trust in God to handle the situation, or did we take it in our own hands? You know, and there will be times when I'm telling you, I'm telling you all, because at the end of the day, I'm talking to me too, right? Because there are times when we really want to uh, take things in our own hand. However, in the long run, for the people that's coming up behind us, we have to live that example. And it may be hard, but you can do it. You can make it through. I'm gonna tell y'all something. I don't really talk about my job that much because of what it is, and I don't want to put anybody in any kind of situation, because what I do is it's important. Um, but I remember when I was much younger. I was 20 years old, to be exact. So I was 20 years old. I was an apprentice, and I had worked there for like a year and a half on my job. Keep in mind, I've been at my job now for 32 years. I was working for one particular manager, and then it was time for rotation, so I went to the next one. And so at the one time I was working for a female, a black female, and then I went to a white male. And I had heard different things about him, but I'm this type of person. Just because you had a situation with somebody doesn't necessarily mean I'm gonna have one. So I tried my best to go into a situation with giving people the benefit of the doubt, trying to get to know people myself. But this particular gentleman told me that that I was taking the job of a good white man. But the thing is, I put in for that job 3 times before I got it. So I ain't took nobody else's job. I was just persistent. And I had it was apprenticeship program. My grades were good. I graduated I didn't graduate with a 4.0, but I graduated with a 3.4. My math, which is one of the things as electrical apprentice, you have to be good in math. My math scores were always good in high school. I was an A student in math, so math has always been like my strongest, you know, subject. Math is my strongest subject. Um, so I knew that I didn't just get this job because I was black. There's no way. It's too much competition. That's what he said. And that was 30 years ago. That was 30. Actually, that was 30 years ago because I had been out in the yard almost 2 years when he told me that. But he told me this, he said this to me, and I hadn't worked for him not even a whole week. So it's not like he knew that I was a good worker or a bad worker. He just looked at me and saw a short at the time, skinny lady, and thought, I wasn't going to be able to do anything. And so that is the mentality that we're dealing with, ladies. A lot of situations, regardless of what area you're in, there's a lot of men that don't want you there simply because you're a woman. And I say that because, to be honest, I thought it was because I was black, but it wasn't. Because he had no problem with a black man being in his crew. He had no problem with that. But he had a problem with women. And it didn't matter if she was a black woman like me or a white woman that followed him through his career. So that's what we're dealing with. And those are the kind of people that we have trying to roll back our rights. We know what we're dealing with, but at the end of the day, we still have to keep our dignity. Don't argue with nobody. Do what you got to do. Your main purpose in life, when you go on those jobs, is to do the best job you can do and go home, make it home safely. And one day you stand before the God with a clear conscience, especially if you are a true believer in Jesus Christ. You've got to do things the right way. And again, I'm not telling you that you won't have to fight, but you got to fight the right way. Don't get up talking bad things about people on your job, cussing, acting a fool, forgetting that you are a child of the Most High God. Keep your dignity and be respectful, not for their sake, but for your sake. And so when you have to take up a case, when you have to go to court, then people will know that you didn't start nothing. People will know that you a hard worker, you weren't a troublemaker, and all this kind of stuff that they will say, because people will know who you are. But if you allow them to get you out of your character, if you allow them to cause you to talk crazy and curse and do all that other stuff, that's not going to be good. It's not going to go good for you. And then it's going to be a hit on the body of Christ. Anyway, think about that. Give me your thoughts. Be blessed, be a blessing, and I'm out.